One of the things I've talked about on the show and that I often talk about when I speak to students, either in classes I'm teaching or where I'm lecturing elsewhere, is the idea of bias by story selection and the concept that the stories we're even aware of in a particular day, if we consume any news at all, and not everybody does, represent this tiny portion, some 0.000, I don't know how many 1% of all the stories that we could have heard about, all of the stuff that happened in a particular day on our planet. And it's really important to understand why that is. And sometimes it's because of bias to sensationalism. Sometimes it's because of advertiser bias or corporate bias or bias to availability, right? The idea that we hear from the Pentagon on most days on every cable channel, not because there's actually news from the Pentagon on every single day, but because most news channels have somebody at the Pentagon. They've got them there already. So it's way cheaper and easier to report so-called news from that location than from some other where you might not be set up. So this gets us to a terror attempt that took place last week at an airport in the United States. You might be saying, well, hold on, wait, what are you talking about? I didn't hear about that. You didn't hear about it because there was effectively no coverage of it whatsoever. There was silence on this issue from our president, Donald Trump, who usually is very quick to try to take advantage of any attempted or successful terrorist attacks to push some or other harebrained policy. And the details of the story are as follows. In Asheville, North Carolina's airport, not long after midnight on a late night last week, a man who was wearing all black walked into the terminal, was seen on security footage coming in with a bag, and then leaving without the bag. This immediately raised the suspicions of airport security. A bomb-sniffing dog was brought out, sniffed the bag, and signaled that there was something explosive within it. And indeed, ANFO, which is ammonium nitrate fuel oil, was found inside of it. That's a kind of explosive which, according to the criminal complaint, has been used in a number of terrorist-related incidents around the world. And the way that that material works is that when an ignition source comes into contact with it, it violently explodes. It's a bomb. Sometimes metal will be added to the bomb to create shrapnel and increase the physical harm that it causes, right? You could do sharp nails or bullets or other stuff. Both sharp nails and bullets were actually found in this bomb. Now, again, you're probably hearing me say this and you're thinking, David, that's major. An attempted terrorist attack with a shrapnel-laden bomb found in an American airport, and we didn't hear about it. Well, the alarm on the bomb was scheduled to go off at 6 a.m., meaning that this was found a few hours before it actually exploded. The man in question was found. He openly admitted to authorities that he was preparing to, quote, fight a war on U.S. soil, a bomb against whom and on whose behalf we don't actually know. So why didn't we hear about it? Now, it's very easy to say, well, David, we didn't hear about it because it was foiled. Wrong. We hear about foiled attacks all the time, but it depends on the particulars of the attack and of the would-be perpetrator. This was just another American white guy. What if this foiled attack with a shrapnel-laden bomb at an American airport had been Muslim? That would then have been reported and used as justification for the travel ban by the President of the United States. What if this would-be perpetrator had been Hispanic? Well, then it would have been justification for the wall with Mexico, because some, I'm sure, are good people, but they're not exactly sending us our best. But it was just your average American white guy. Who was his war even against? I don't know. But he was one of these white militia types that we've been hearing more and more about from groups that track extremists like the Anti-Defamation League. So the fundamental point to be made here is that if you make a big deal out of this foiled terrorist attack by just an American white guy, it doesn't advance any political agenda. Our safety agenda would benefit from us realizing that it's mostly white Americans who commit terror in the United States. The safety agenda would be advanced by realizing that. The political agenda of the American right is advanced only when there's a pretext, right? Muslims, Hispanics, whatever, if the incident, foiled or successful, can provide a pretext for legislation that the right wants to pass, that's when we hear about it. And it's very popular to frame the threat as an external one that we can insulate ourselves against if we keep the right people out of the country. But once again, it's not. And again, you didn't hear about this because it did not serve the current administration's political agenda. The video you just finished watching was made possible by you through the membership program. You can sign up for membership at davidpakman.com/membership. We are viewer-supported independent media. You can use the coupon code IVoted17 for a 40% discount off of your membership.